Let's rock this joint!
All right. Well, welcome back to Informed Decisions, and we always have a guest. We don't really ever do solo episodes anymore. But welcome to Informed Decisions. I have Sam with me, and we have Zack Cherry.
Hey,
Hi, thank you for coming back. We really appreciate it.
did I have a choice? No,
Uh,
you guys know I love being here.
hmm,
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We
Yeah, we love. Yeah, we always love having you on. I mean, in a
We
way,
love.
yeah. You're. I mean, you're responsible. You're the first person responsible for Garrison and I even knowing each other. So, um,
yeah we have
th-
the origin story for every episode of
I
Informed.
know.
Well,
No,
you're
no, no, no. I
welcome. You're
thank
welcome.
you. So thank you. Yes, thank you. That was the point. All right, so I'm really excited to have this conversation today because with the premiere, recent release of the latest installment of I Know What You Did Last Summer, I wanted Garrison and I wanted to talk about the franchise and why this particular franchise, mediocre as it is, has resonance and why we have like great affection for it, particularly people of our age, what it means to us, why it's important. So I just wanted to start. I guess we would start just by like going through each film in chronological order, talking about it, sharing about like what we think of it, what and like rating it, and then doing like our rankings at the end of it, and just generally talking about it and its effect on pop culture. So thank you for being our guest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Um, One reason why I really wanted to do this episode is because I've kind of come to the conclusion while watching the new one, um, that I might. This is like interesting to say out loud. I guess I'll get a lot of flack. I might like this series more than, or I may have liked the series more than I liked Scream growing up. After like really thinking about how angry I was at the reboot and how much I really enjoyed the first two movies as a kid, that I still loved them, and I was that because I really wasn't that offended by Scream Five, which I know is a better movie, and Scream Six, but I was like very offended by the new I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I really do. I just rewatched the original, so I have a lot of I guess unpacking about this series that I didn't realize I loved so much.
Yeah,
How about you?
Zach, I'm Zach. I'm going to screenshot Garrison's crash out in Ryan's group chat so you can see exactly just how entertaining it was because it was really, really something.
Yeah. Well, before
I'll
we
send
we
those to
got
you at some point.
on, we were just talking about how Garrison likes everything.
I do.
I mean, like not everything, but like the movies that like one that I, always rag on you. I don't even rag on you. I actually think that it's a very endearing thing that you really love this movie called Abandon from 2002. And I knew of this movie and I always wanted to watch it. And you recommended it, and it was on the watch list. And I put it on, and I was just like, I don't like this movie at all. But for you, it's like 5 stars. But like you like unabashedly will love something, and you can see it for its flaws, and you can accept it, but you still will praise it, and just like like it resonates for you in a certain way, and it so lately when you'll speak ill of a movie, so to speak, it's shocking to me because it's like, wow, like Garrison, usually like you're very forgiving of things. So when you don't like a movie, it's like, wow, he like really doesn't like the movie. It must not be good.
Yeah, I think I can probably come around to the new one.
Yeah.
I saw it late at night. I really had a low, whatever you call it, low standard for it, but I thought it would still have the essence of like a slasher. Like it was still gonna be able to capture the shell of those first two movies, and I just found it to be very lazy. If y'all want to, we can go through before we go to the I Know What You Did Last Summer. We can go through the first one, and we can each talk about how, like, if you liked it or what you carry, what you take from it now, if you want to, and then we can move on to the sequels if you want.
Yeah,
Because I will
absolutely.
dominate the conversation if we don't take turns.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Okay, Stan, what about you? Like, what was your opinion when you saw it, and what is your opinion on your last viewing of the original?
Okay, so um, the first time I saw it, this was I was still kind of, it's obviously it's written by Kevin Williamson, the, genius who gave us Scream. And I was intrigued because he wrote the screenplay for this first because it was a passion project for him because it's based on a 1973 young adult thriller novel by Lois Duncan, who hated the movie because it was a slasher and her book is not a slasher, even though it does feature a stalker and suspense. So, so the first time around, I'd say, well, I really enjoy. I did enjoy it. It definitely like the suspense was clearly there. Kevin Williamson has a real knack for writing suspenseful situations and snappy dialogue with smart teenagers who are pop culture aware, and that definitely carried over from Scream to this. The difference here is that it's much more of a standard traditional murder mystery, and that. Um, Mixed in with the what turns out to be like the unkillable killer. They just at the end of the film, even though he's not really superhuman, they kind of just do the whole he's not really dead thing with the one last scare. I thought the suspense scenes and the scares worked really well. I thought the characterizations were decent also. Um, but I do think that the film's appeal is more limited than Scream because it's the kind of it is it is an above average version of the type of movie that Scream was taking off from. So like because Scream was satirizing the cliches of like slasher films that had been done to death by years of like Halloween's and Nightmare on Elm Streets and Terror Train and New Year's Evil and all these things. And so Scream noted the cliches that the genre had descended into and rose above it by giving us real characters who were aware of what was happening. And I know what you did last summer. There was a little bit of that, but it was much more straightforward, and as such, it isn't nearly as resonant and doesn't nearly have the personality that Scream does. It feels more like a cool like campfire story, like sitting around with a bunch of your friends to tell your friends about like a scary urban legend, like that sort of thing. Um, Shout out to Jamie Blanks because I know Zach loves that movie. But so that it doesn't really have the personality that Scream does. What it does have though was it has four of the hottest young actors around at the time. And it also has a real sense of atmosphere because it was filmed in a real North Carolina fishing town. And that like sense of place is really like a character in the film. Like it's you really feel like that is really essentially part of the story is is the location. And so that feels really genuine to me, and I think that's why the suspense holds up because it really feels like their characters are navigating their way through like the main streets and the desolate storefronts at night and the backwoods areas of this small fishing town in North Carolina. And I feel like, in addition to the whole murder mystery as to why, um, the fisherman goes around killing these kids, um, there's also a sense of like in a lot of slasher films there's a sense of like economic desperation, like the fact that there's a real like this one it's like not it's bare it's not even there, I'm just projecting, um but Because at the end of the day, it really is about a bunch of kids who accidentally hit a guy who just murdered his daughter's former boyfriend because he accidentally killed her. And so, instead of calling the police, which they should have done because there would have been no more deaths, they did the stupid thing and tried to bury the body. So, that being said, I'll leave aside the whole economic desperation thing. But aside from that, the movie is atmospheric. It is flavorful. It's fairly predictable and straightforward. And the whodunit resolution is just kind of like annoying because after Scream, where the shock of it being someone who was close, who was within the friend group that we thought were, they were all protagonists and it was all going to be like there was all going to be a sense of like camaraderie. And I know you last summer, it really is just like an outsider force. So there's no like self-implication. There's no like look within yourself to see like, am I really capable of like committing evil acts? Like, is it somebody I know? Could somebody I know or somebody I care about really do this? No, it's just like it's like, it ends up being just like a bad guy who's like trying to like destroy the main character's happiness. So it doesn't really have the same like kind of like, Hitchcockian like thrills, but the suspense is pretty great. And actually, despite the movie's like flaws, the Sarah Michelle Gellar chase scene is probably my favorite chase scene in horror history. So I got to give it up, and I do think that the most of the performances are decent. So I think that the one performance I have an issue with, I will say I think he did the best he could. So I'm not going to name names, but
Name them. No.
no, because he seems like a nice guy, and I wish him well. So, and I want him to be happy. So we know who I'm talking about. It's fine. So I will just say that I think it's a good time. It doesn't, I've never had nightmares about it. It's never like gotten under my skin, but while I'm watching it, it is really gripping. It is really suspenseful, and I do enjoy the climax in the boat as well. I think it's clever. I think it's unpredictable, and I think it's moved and staged really well. So I don't think it's great shakes by any means, but I think it's really enjoyable. So 3 out of 5.
How about you, Zach?
I don't even know why you guys need me here because Sam like really perfectly articulated everything about the movie. But let's see what has not been said. I think that because you mentioned Scream, and it's hard to not
Shocker.
talk about I Know What You Did Last Summer without. Sorry, I'm going out of focus here. Without Scream coming up because like they are so connected. Just in terms of like the timeline of when everything came out and just how the horror movies of the time were really kind of tuned into the casting and I think that that's the key ingredient of I Know What You Did Last Summer is the four of them. And because I think that script wise it's pretty basic. I don't really see much of Scream in I Know What You Did Last Summer at all. It's like everything that's kind of connected to it is more surface level details. But I think that a good analogy to look at the crossover from the movies is I Know What You Did Last Summer is to Scream kind of the way that Friday the 13th is to Halloween. And Halloween is probably one of the best slasher movies of all time, and Friday the 13th has always kind of been looked at as like the ripoff. Like I don't think that it's obviously it has a huge following, and there's some people that think that it's just trash, but I still think that especially at least the first one, which is not even the best of the franchise, but it's a very basic template of like what Halloween is, but it's still doing everything competently. And I think we can say the same thing for I Know What You Did Last Summer because it is a very stripped down version of Scream in a sense that it doesn't have all the things that Scream has. It doesn't have that the nuance to it, but there is atmosphere. There is suspense. The movie looks good. It's doing all the right things. I just don't think that it's terribly memorable. I feel like there's just so much that came out. You know, you mentioned urban legend, and like, you know, when I think of like the big four. Well, I don't even know if it's like the big four, but you know, I think of like at the time like Scream. I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, and I guess Valentine, even though that was 2001. But just of those different slasher properties, I Know What You Did Last Summer is probably my like at the bottom of that if I was to rank it, but it's still an enjoyable film. I just find that when nothing is happening, like especially in like the middle parts of the movie, when they're doing the investigation, you know, they're going off to Anne Heche and trying to piece things together. It's it just kind of it's there's this lull that's not incredibly interesting. I think the thing that's like maybe holding that together is this friendship between Helen and Julie. But even then, it's just like all the things that are working for the movie aren't always necessarily given their proper due. So, you know, I walk away from that movie feeling like you know, this is good. I think it could have been a lot better. And, you know, I've made it no secret. I think that Sarah Michelle Gellar is the best part of the movie, and I know a lot of people agree with that. But I kind of tune out like after she's taken out, because nothing that's happening in the finale is really doing anything for me. Like you said, Sam, like the mystery that we've been seeing hasn't really paid off to this reveal. It feels like even within Ben Willis himself as a character, there's this hypocrisy to what he's doing, and it's never spoken about. Like there's this chase on a boat, which is effective, but I feel like it's really lacking in any sort of emotionality, because you know, when you look at like a Scream where you have the climax of the movie and there's this confrontation between the heroine and her villains, and just like everything is coming out in the wash, and we're understanding why this is happening, and really getting a sense of it. There's nothing beyond like, well, you know, you guys were, you know, kind of reckless, and I'm going to take care of you. And, you know, I feel like there's a perfect opportunity for some kind of pushback. And this is why I don't think that Julie James is like, you know, she's at least not my final girl, because she's studying to become a lawyer. You know, like lawyers can debate, they can argue. Like, this is the perfect opportunity for a character to, you know, turn it around on the killer and just be like, you have like no leg to stand on here. You were murdering someone and karma got you, and now like you're alive, you got away with murder. Why don't you just like let go of it, like leave it alone? But you know, even then, even in the sequel, like nothing comes up. It feels like we're missing that emotional punch, as to like why. What is the really motivating factor other than like you're just kind of perturbed because, you know, you were hit by a car and thrown into the ocean. So I think it's fine, but it's not one that I revisit all that often.
I mean, that's all. Y'all both have great points. Like I agree with both of you. When I first saw, actually, this movie, I saw. I rented this movie at, I guess I was like 9 or maybe I was 10, but I don't know, and Scream 2 on the same night. So I had like a double feature with my cousins, and I had the best time. On rewatch though, like I still think it holds up. Like I loved this movie. Like I loved it when I saw it. It's probably what I had seen an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So this is like that night. I was like a super Sarah Michelle Gellar fan after that night. But watching the movie, like I really paid attention more so to Sarah Michelle Gellar and less of Jennifer Love Hewitt, and I really like the detail done, and that's probably why we all, or a majority of the people, like really enjoy the Helen character. Like during the scene where they're all confronting each other, she keeps looking back between, and it could be because it's a wider screen version that I watched today. Looking at Julie and Ray, and she's so scared. At first, she agrees with Julie because Julie's talking, then she agrees with not Ray, Barry,
Barry.
and she looks so scared, like she was playing. And I was like, wow, she doesn't know. She trusts these two people's opinion, and she really wants them to tell her what to do because you can just tell that maybe her life has always went her way until this moment, and she literally doesn't know what to do. I thought that was so interesting, and interesting, you know, way that she played it, or her the way it comes across on screen to me. And then we go into the movie like a year later, and honestly, I what I enjoyed about this really is like everybody except maybe Sarah Michelle Gellar's character is really unhinged in this movie because Barry could give two shits about what he did, right? Like he doesn't care. Um, Julie is so depressed at college and failing, and she comes home and she's got these like baggy like clothes, and she's so sad that one day. But as soon as shit starts happening, her hair gets curlier. She's wearing crop tops, like she's running around like living her best life, like making Sarah Michelle Gellar's life not that great. I'm like, well, okay. And she was supposed to be this character that's like sad, but now she's doing her hair and wearing belly shirts and like running around town, like having the best time while Sarah Michelle Gellar's like, oh, I got a note, and my sister is such a bitch, like here, like tearing me up, and I have to work at this store, and here's my ex. Like, I felt really bad for Helen this time, this go around, and I kept paying attention, like especially the scene where she comes home from the investigation, and her dad ignores her. And I know that she says, "Tell mom and dad I'll be home late" to Elsa. So I know her mom was in the picture then, and then I know they mentioned something about her parents when they're worried about her. But the mom's not there, and the dad's not paying attention, and Elsa is just a grade A cunt to her. And I'm like, where's the mom? Like, does nobody care about Helen? Like, like nobody cares. And she still has a picture by Barry by her bed, and um, she's reliving her heyday, but it's not her. She has to give it up the next day. Like it's extremely sad. And then the next day, when they're all like arguing in the yard, which is not the best scene in the movie, that's why I probably was looking at the scenery. I noticed that Helen's yard is not kept. Like everything's grown up around it. And I look at their houses and like everything's ignored. Everything's just being done by the kids in Helen's life. But Barry has people like his mom's still like around, and their house is well kept. And Julie's. I was just thinking, there's a lot of things that they could bond over, and Julie's just like saying things like, "We used to be a lot of things," and letting her get out of the car. It made me sad that moment. And then whenever Julie finds the body, and he's like, "Well, why would he take the body?" And he says, "Why would he make coleslaw on Helen's head?" I would have been like, "Fuck you, Julie! Like, why are you saying these things?" So I just found it very. There was a lot of character work behind, in my opinion, from what I noticed, for the Helen character. So I'm guessing she was. And I did find that Ray is obsessed with the whole movie. I know I keep jumping around of getting back with Julie, but he doesn't give a shit about what's going on with anybody else. And then you just have Barry being Barry. So like everybody's just unhinged. And so by the time you get to the finale, and you have Ben Willis just acting a fool, I'm like, okay, I'm with it. Like let's just everybody's crazy in this town. Everybody's pent up emotions, and they just want to. So I was, and I like that. I do. I'm not a huge fan of the Friday the 13th. I think you're right, but I enjoy a movie that it's just that it knows what it is. It doesn't like try to be more complicated. Scream is special because it knows what it is too, but it also has a full round soap opera going on that I enjoy. That's well done. I just have a good time with this, and I love holiday horror. So I love like every Fourth of July watching this. In the atmosphere you talked about, I grew up in a town that's actually just dead now, but that had stores, kind of like the Shiver stores, and I also went to college in Natchitoches that has stores like that. And we would always run around like around Halloween, and like we didn't have all like the stuff now, which sounds extremely old, but it was always very creepy at night in these towns, in these old buildings that I really paid attention. And I know you already mentioned the atmosphere, that it's just we loved being scared growing up, and the movie felt like it could be our town at the time. And I liked all like the fishing hats and all that stuff. So I just had a great time. It could be nostalgia why I loved it this round so much more, because I don't usually love it that much. But I really enjoyed the character work. I really enjoyed because Sarah Michelle Gellar reacted even in background scenes very well. And I just really, like, I was, until they mentioned her parents again in the middle, I thought, I was like, well, did Helen's mom die and no one gives a shit? Like, is this just her dad sitting there drinking a whole bunch? And her sister is, like, taking care of everything. So I was really feeling for Sarah Michelle Gellar's character and really seeing the unhinged Julie that we see in the second one. That was a lot of fun. I was like, she's having a great time and dressing like her old self because she has a murderer or, like, a stalker that she's excited to solve, I guess. So.
Yeah.
That was my view on the first one.
No, no, I love it, and I do feel like there's something very comforting. Like I said before, there's something very comforting about it. Like it's like kind of like a spooky tale you tell your friends, like sitting around like a campfire or like late at night before you go to bed. It has that kind. It has that kind of like, like it has that kind of like quality to it. Um, and but it's also it's like the difference between that and Scream is because of the writing and the characterization. Scream is just like so much more enveloping because it feels like it's happening to you, whereas I Know What You Did Last Summer, it feels like it's happening to like somebody else. And so
Ooh, yeah, that's a good way of
um
putting it.
yeah. So, and that's really what, because, as we know, like Scream is like, we always end up getting sidetracked here, but like because that's Scream was like just specific, it was Kevin Williamson's love letter to people who love these movies. And so, whereas I Know What You Did Last Summer is one of these movies, but he always wanted to do that. And so I appreciated, even though it's inferior, it's not bad at all, and I still appreciate it for what it had for its particular charms and what it has to offer. So, um, so that was really nice. Let's move on to Tower Bay Island, where Garrison is currently podcasting from. So the next first sequel is I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which came out in 1998. I had a really fun time seeing it in college with one of my best friends, and like we bonded over that to this day. Um, why don't you guys explain to me why this is actually a masterpiece and that I have no idea what I'm talking about? I would love that, please. I'll go last because it's my least it's my no, that's not true. That's not true. It's not true. It's not my least favorite of the franchise. God, no. I mean, there's still that horrible straight to video abomination. But
I think that I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. It's so unapologetically campy that it just like it's doing the like just the way that we talked about how you know Kevin Williamson had, and I know he has nothing to do with this one, but just that Scream is his love letter to that, and I Know What You Did Last Summer is just one of those movies. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer feels like it's even more tuned into that idea of just being one of these movies. Like it just feels like something that is just ripped right out of this catalog of just really like trashy, fun slasher movies, and it's it's presenting the trauma like it's doing the 90s trauma, which I find is just so much more palpable than like current trauma. And it's the response to it is just like, get over it, we're going to the Bahamas and it's going to be like a wonderful time. And clearly this is, you have Julie, who's just an unwell character, thrust into this situation where she's trying her best, and it's just, you got this killer who's still, a huge hypocrite coming after them for who knows what like why why does he still need to be going after her? But regardless of that, it's like, I'm gonna fuck up your vacation. Well, I mean, it's not even her vacation. It was all a ruse in the long run. But that's like part of the fun of it. It's just, it feels like there's more intention on the killer's part here to stage this whole thing, and it's so ridiculous. It's so operatic. And it just knows how to have fun, and it's doing all of the, like, it's taking all of the beats of the original that worked, and it's just turning them up, and all the other stuff. And I feel that, like, this is a place where, the Helen and the Barry relationship of the first movie, I felt was actually like quite it was very nuanced. There was a lot of development to those characters. They were very interesting, and even though it didn't work out for them, in any sense of like just being alive still or getting back together, um, they were like the heart of the movie, and there was just so many interesting scenes between them, and I feel like that's lacking here. We don't really have that. We especially don't have that with Brandy and uh, forgot his name,
Mackay
Mackay
Pfeiffer.
Pfeiffer's character.
I
Ty, thank you. But like it's a very interesting cast. Like there's so many more archetypes here. And it's doing the thing like it's just like we're going into slasher territory where there are these like over the top. I mean, you have Jamaican Jack Black for crying out loud. Jennifer Esposito as the bartender. Jeffrey Combs, who's just like the unsung hero, just being the creepy hotel manager. Just like it feels like it's more like it's obviously more isolated into this world, but that works for it because they are isolated on the Tower Bay. And I don't know, you have like the hurricane, like the lightning storms and all that. Like it is just going hard on these slasher cliches, and it's just a really fun time. I think the weakest part of it is like like any of like the subplot to do with Ray, but I mean he eventually serves his purpose. He gets there and delivers the gun, and we get the final moments. But I don't know. I just like I can. This movie's not pretending to be good, and that is what I like about it. Where I feel like the original kind of like it's just like feels, and it's not art house, but it's just like there's a an attitude about it that's just like this is hybrid. Like we're playing on Scream territory, whereas this one is just like we're just gonna do what these movies always used to do, and I love it.
I agree with that. Like what I find with this movie is because and it's going to be my complaint with the third one or whatever the fourth one. I think this one has its own identity too. Like it manages to not really bring much from the original into the sequel. Like it's obviously it's a different um, director, different writer, similar cast, but I don't like the. It gives me some of that nostalgia because I used to, as a kid on the VHS, would rewind the screams and all the things that was when it was doing I Know What You Did Last Summer, and it was like that turning, putting it all together. I thought that was really interesting, and you could hear Selma Trailer scream. I thought that was really cool, like, to give you like, this is what happened, but not. But we're not gonna go into all of that. We're gonna like do all this, like you said, like extreme, like she's going to go to confession. Like it's really dramatic, and I really enjoy movies that just do that shit. Like it. Um, and she's still being traumatized and screaming. I enjoy all of, like the wild score with like the screaming, singing, and like Julie has her own score in this movie. So I'm like really getting involved with like the potential franchise of it. Like Sydney has her own theme music. Like I enjoy when a movie, especially if they reuse it, but it has like, and it has a really great. And that's one thing I meant to say with the first one. I love a film series or whatever that has like a really paid like attention of a soundtrack. Like Hooverphonic is used in the original in a small scene. It's also used in this scene, and like I Know What You Did Summer introduced me to a lot of interesting music that wasn't on the radio where I'm from, and I think its use of music is very like the music like the end credits. It has Gorecki by Lamb, which is still one of my favorite songs. It does not fit the vibe of the movie, yet it does to me. Like especially Eden by Hooverphonic, like for the sad moments. Anyway, that's near enough. I was pulled in by all of that care. Like, I mean, somebody found this music that wasn't that mainstream to put in here, and it fit, and it gave me a vibe of a movie. And then you have Brandy, who is reminiscent of the same roommate that she had in the original. So we have kind of that carryover, and it's not the same character. And I just think it's fun. I have fun with all the characters. I do say I would miss, like, Helen, obviously, but I don't miss it too much. And then everything's extreme. Like, all the the reasoning is extreme, but I don't care because I buy into it. And that's less, like, I guess I have a less explanation of why I love it. Like, I should hate, and I did hate at the time, the Jack Black thing. Now I think it's extremely funny that every time someone mentions this movie, me and my cousins or me and my sister will just say, "If you need some weed, I get weed you later." Like, just stupid shit. Like, it's just fun. I think it's memorable. I think it's very 90s, in the best way. And I've never not enjoyed, and I've never not sat and watched the whole thing. When I put it on, even if it's folding clothes, I'm going to watch the whole thing, and I'm going to watch the music video of How to Deal afterwards because I'm a true Disney kid. And why not have a single from your movie, even if it's a horror movie? So I don't really have anything bad to say about Esta Noche de la Summer. I think it's a great time. I think the first one and this one are really great for you to sit with your friends and have a great time watching movies. And Scream is too, to say to it, but Scream like has layers where you'll discuss, and you could probably get in like as you can see a part of all of these communities that we're in, people get in like to legit arguments about which one's their favorite, which one's good, which one, because they're all well done. But I think this is just something you can put on and it can entertain you. And there's great talent. Like it's like a time capsule. I mean, Jennifer Love Hewitt was extremely popular at the time with commercials and her TV show and movies and music videos. That it's nice to remember that time and nice to have like an adrenaline rush and to go listen to some stuff that was my favorite when I was a kid and it's still good today. So hopefully that wasn't too much ramble, but that's why I love it so much.
Oh, please. That's literally why we're doing this. Um, so, okay. One nice thing I will say about the movie before I go into, and I appreciate both of your perspectives. The one compliment I will give the movie is that I do think the soundtrack is fire. I love the soundtrack. I listened to it all the time as a kid. I still pop it on every once in a while. Um, Mostly because it takes every time I hear it, it takes me back to being at specifically the age when the movie came out and remembering the amazing time I had with one of my best friends who I saw it with, and even just the plot itself and how invested I was in like the whole story, just because of like it, being just part of the general like Kevin Williamson, um, wheelhouse that I was like so engrossed in, enmeshed in at the time. That being said, I do not feel like the movie was unapologetically campy. Um, the trailers for this movie were so next level and gave me the impression that I was going to see something even scarier, even more suspenseful than I thought the first one was. And both the teaser trailer and the full official trailer were like had me like with my jaw on the floor being like ugh. I was so pumped and so primed for like even a bigger roller coaster ride. And then the movie started and the first scene with the nightmare in the church, and then she wakes up screaming in the middle of her class, and I was just like, you have got to be kidding me. And from that moment on, I was like, this movie is so overcooked. It's like it's I was like I couldn't tell, there's a difference between like, intentional camp and unintentional camp. And both of those have their pleasures for sure. And I'm not saying that unintentional, and even if unintentional camp still has its pleasures, but if it's unintentional, I'm not going to go giving it points. So I really just felt like between that, I mean, look, I mean, I've already been over like Jack Black's Oscar-winning performance. Like that's like one thing, but the rest of the movie is, oh my god, I mean, it was just so frustrating to me because I was so ready to be on the edge of my seat again, like what it was with the first one. Even though the first one was, again, I don't think it was great, but it did really have me, like, it had my heart racing. It had me, like, holding onto my chairs at certain points. Um, you know, uh, This movie, I mean, the scene where he like locks her in the tanning bed, I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" I was like, "No," but I was like, "Y'all can't find a pair of scissors?" Like, like what the hell? Um, it was just so over the top and ludicrous, and the entire time, I think I just felt like a crushing sense of betrayal. Um, and Garrison, I know that how that's how you feel about certain movies, including one in this franchise we will get to later. But so I feel like I feel that the betrayal felt stronger to me because it was so directly connected to the first one. Um, and there are other performances. There are a couple of other performances in the movie that I appreciate. Like, I mean, I thought Jennifer Esposito was pretty cool.
Mhm.
I thought Brandy was easily the best thing about the movie, even though her character was just about as ridiculous as everybody else, but she somehow managed to be really, really fun the entire time. I mean, you know, the movie is trying to establish like at least the first one had like plausible relationships and like the plausible um like destruction of those relationships too, and how they all like came back together, like again, like the scene in the car with the sadness of the ruined friendship. Now uh Jennifer Love Hewitt getting in Brandy's face with a knife, and the entire way that scene played out, I'm just sitting there thinking, am I supposed to believe that this is a real conversation they're having? That this is how another person would react if they had a knife shoved in their face? Like, this is like someone who's like, again, y'all know that Julie in this movie is clearly unhinged, but I'm supposed to believe this relatively normal chick would be like living with her and not and not like move out the next day. Uh, I'm sorry.
The apartment's nice.
Yeah. Oh, look, I cannot with you. Yes, the apartment is nice, and yes, you girls get. Oh yeah, they have a washer and dryer in their apartment.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, okay, sure. Listen. This is they're listen. They're in college. This can be worked out. This is not a huge financial burden where they have to spend thousands of dollars to move and like put a down payment on someplace else. This is college housing. Like, stop it. This is nuts. And then I mean, God, all of the acting, like it's just again with a couple of exceptions, Brandy and Jennifer Esposito, the dialogue was so cliched. If I were inclined to take the movie seriously, I might even think that the characterizations of much of the supporting cast were racially insensitive. Thank God I don't do that. Um, it's just, listen. I love that you all love it. I will anybody if anybody wants to watch it. I'll never I'll be hard pressed to say no because I have fond memories of it. It's part of my childhood. It's part of my growing up. It's part of what made me who I am. But I'm going to give it a 1.5 because you will never ever convince me. It's going to be. I haven't been convinced that it's like a good movie. I'm just not. I'm sorry.
Well, no one said it was good. I said it was
Yeah,
highly
it's
entertaining.
it's fun. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
it's fun. It's fun.
Sometimes you can give a letterbox score based on how much you enjoyed it.
mhm.
No, Zach. No, Zach has absolutely called me out on this before. It's fine. So yeah, it's
And
fine.
that's how
It's
I do
fine.
movies now. If I don't have a good time, but I can recognize that a movie is filmed beautifully, it's well acted. Um, but if I'm bored, like, and I don't care to revisit it, I don't really find that it did its job. Like, you can pour all the money you want into a project, which
Oh,
we
I agree.
pay
I
pretty.
agree with that. I agree with that.
Oh, I'm not just arguing. I'm just saying, like, there's something. Sometimes I can't even explain it why I had a good time. Um, I I can kind of explain why I had a good time with I Still Know It's Still Summer, but it's just like a carnival ride, and I just I don't know. I like everything just fell into its place, and I had a good time. And when I'm in the mood for that kind of slasher movie, which is anytime it's on, if it, I'll watch
Listen, as long as it got you to take geography more seriously, I think it did its job. So
Brasilia. I'll
yes,
never forget the
like,
capital of Brazil.
good, good. Especially if you ever plan on going there that day. So I've never actually seen that god awful piece of crap third movie. So if you guys want to go ahead and talk about it, like I'll just listen.
Well, I love Zach's podcast so much that I saw it for the first time for his podcast, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but it's still bad.
Okay.
Yeah. That it?
I enjoyed the opening scene for some reason. I was like, okay, so we just straight up have the hook the fisherman randomly just going through this carnival, which I just said I love movies that feel like carnival rides, and I was like, okay. Um, and then the guy jumped off the roof and didn't jump in the right place and died, and I was like, okay, so we're in trouble. Like I mean, I guess I get it because it's a prank and you were in on the prank, but then it started losing me, and it was fine. Like I enjoyed straight to video movies back then of this caliber. I just really I don't crave to watch it again. It was perfectly fine for an evening. Characters were annoying. Um, I don't find that it was as cheap looking as I thought it was going to be. But I, I don't know why like we needed it. To be connected to the other ones. I did
Nope.
like the idea of a zombie Ben Willis. I was like, okay, can we just do that for? Like, I really would have been. I know to hint back to like to the fourth. I would have been. I'd have totally respected the new reboot if it would have just been a zombie Ben Willis. I'd have been like, cool.
Nobody needs this movie. Nobody needed it. Nobody asked for it, and yet here it is.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I've dabbled in plenty of straight to video horror, especially of that era. And this one is it's just such a unpleasant looking and feeling, sounding, whatevering movie. It's just like there really is no redeeming qualities about this one to me. It's like, you know, I at least feel like look at Halloween Resurrection, which is just kind of notoriously and collectively considered to be the worst of that franchise. And I feel like there's more value to be had in something like, you know, even production wise and even script wise. And that's just like there is no script to that movie. And I feel that it's still doing more for that franchise than this is doing for the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise. If they were going to go the route of like zombie Ben Willis, like I don't think that should have been a last minute surprise. I think that it should have just been like established from the beginning. I think they should have just gone nuts with that and had all the fun they can. It's not an enjoyable movie, and it was clearly made like studio wise, but by people who just like did not give a shit about fans of the franchise. It was just like, all right, here's a paycheck that we can get, just cash in on this. And I know they did it for Urban Legend as well. I've not seen that
Yeah,
movie.
the
So,
Bloody Mary,
you know,
which is actually I've only seen that one once, but it was far more entertaining as I remember. Uh, I mean, I notoriously like the sequel to Urban Legends better than the original because I found it's more of a good time. But I know that I am the minority for that.
that's fair. I need to
I
revisit it.
I have
I
nothing
don't
to
think
say.
it's
So,
I don't think it's awful, Final Cut, but I definitely will not agree that it's a step up from the original.
Well, I mean, I probably shouldn't. A
No,
lot of
you
this has
you
to do
should
with
do
my.
whatever.
No, I agree. Like, a lot of it has to do. That's one reason why we have this show, right? Like, sometimes it's just nostalgia. It's not that it's like the time frame I saw it. Like, I love Scream 2 better than Scream, probably because I saw Scream 2 before I saw Scream, and a year in like so I was 8 when Scream came out, and I was 9 going on 10 when I was able to watch Scream 2 and Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. So of course, like the maturity level, like you're not as scared of it. You can enjoy pop culture better. So I'm gonna have fonder memories. I was a teenager or just turned a teenager when I saw Urban Legends Final Cut. Like we were able to rent that kind of stuff, and I never saw urban legends except for on TV. So I am, that's the whole point of like me analyzing. I do understand that sometimes I have like a love for something because it's comforting to me because it brings me back to a thing. I think it's Urban Legends is a great movie, but I saw the whole thing unedited and like all in one stand as an adult, and I was like, it's fine. Like I like the atmosphere. Probably the same way I watched this one. Like I didn't see it as a teenager. I was in college or going to college when this came out, and I had no desire to watch it because I thought I was cool because I was watching all these indie movies I didn't understand, so I was not going to watch them.
Yeah, some indie movies are fun.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, some of them are. Um, so uh, that brings so now it brings us to the new I Know What You Did Last Summer, which was just released 1 month ago, and which many of us surprise. I guess I was surprised at how initially I was like, oh my god, this is going to be so bad, but then uh, I was just surprised at how as the marketing came out, like I was surprised at how invested and suddenly I wanted to go see it I was. So uh I guess why don't we talk about our feelings about the new one and why ultimately why any of us felt like if to what degree you got excited about it and why, and what do you think it means about what this franchise in particular has a hold on pop culture and over, I guess, people of a certain age in general. Whoever
I,
wants to go
I mean,
first.
I don't think that it has a hold over pop culture at all. I think that
I
there's,
love you.
I think that there's, like it has a following.
Yeah.
And nobody is wrong for feeling that way and wanting to see this. Clearly the writer director of the film is part of that following and just like wanted to bring this back. And the thing is, like, I lowered my expectations so far down for this movie because I did not think it was going to be like, I wasn't expecting anything fantastic. I wasn't expecting to be blown away. I wasn't expecting it to be better than the new Scream movies. But I got to a point where I'm like, I think I'm going to have fun with this because my expectations are so low at this point that I can't see myself being disappointed by it. And yet I ended up being disappointed by it, not even for like the movie itself, but just the the production value. The like this was something that was so rushed that I feel that if it had just been given a normal timeline, it might have, like, all of the issues probably could have melted away and it would have been a perfectly acceptable movie with how it turned out. And I'm fuzzy again. But it's just to know that they were doing reshoots like a month before the release, but like in June, and it came out in July on July 18th. That there was still they were scrambling to cobble something together, and just seeing how it feels like there's two movies in one that just like do not complement one another. It really kind of speaks to how chaotic this was because and like starting with the script process, because it's just like you gotta you gotta have intention with that. You gotta know what the movie is that you're making, and it's like if you don't have something, like you can't force it in there, and that's clearly what happened with the Jennifer Love Hewitt of it all. And I mean, I saw so many things in here that was just like like fan service and homage. And I mean, like, I get that that's part of the requel way now, but even in that, it's just like there were so many opportunities where it's just like, can we rethink that and maybe this works better a certain way? I mean, like the Helen cameo, for instance, why was that Danica's dream? That should have been Julie's dream. If we were really kind of focusing on just like what was important for the franchise, and we mentioned that scene in the original in the car, they never got their reconciliation, they never got their goodbye. Like, that is something that where you're wanting to make a movie about trauma, like, show that show Julie's guilt over her dead best friend. Um, so it felt like everywhere where it could have been something, it just wasn't. It felt like and this is the same problem I have with like the new Screams and the new Halloweens, where it's just like we're gonna pay tribute to something that came before, but we're going to do it in a very surface level way, by just being like, oh look, we did that thing again. But it's just like, yeah, I know they did that thing in the original, but they did it so much better here. You're just recreating it, and it's not interesting. If you're wanting to homage something, like tap into the roots of like what like the vibe that creates, because I just do not get the original vibe here at all. Like I don't see the atmosphere of this sleepy fishing town, like everything just being this like affluent gentrified community. It's just I don't know what that decision was. I just felt like, we're telling this story about these kids and we're just doing the exact same thing with them, but we're going to make little adjustments here and there, but every single adjustment is kind of working against the film. It's just making it less interesting. So ultimately, I mean, I would have rather, if it was going to be a story about Julie, I would have rather been just about Julie. I don't want to see these new kids. And it's like, if there was going to be a story about new kids, then just do tell the story right. Because I don't really, I don't get them. I don't know what they were trying to do with them. I don't understand the killer, at least like one of them, and their motivation. I guess we can spoil, right?
Sure.
Like with Ray, I mean, I know that that's a huge complaint for people. I think it's fine. You know what? I see it. I get it. I just don't think that it was executed well at all, because they were so unfocused with having to answer all these other questions, and while not actually answering them. So I don't know. I I think it was just ridiculous. I'm gonna see it again, but it's certainly like, other than the I'll always know. I guess we're not ranking them yet, but I'll just say, yeah, I'm. This movie, my expectations were so low, and it managed to even come in lower.
Oh,
Yeah.
uh, I sense your disappointment. You're certainly not the only one. I would like to go next because I want to save the best for last. Um, so what I will say is, I was, I think seeing a movie with a really good friend, I think will, generally speaking, always like enhance your enjoyment of it, because even if it's not objectively a good movie, the experience of seeing it like with in good company will make you feel better about it. So I went to go see this with one of my very best friends from high school, and the minute we, again, I had zero expectations as well, but the minute the title font displayed across the screen, that ridiculous title font, God, look at Garrison. Yeah, like you know how ridiculous it is. Yeah, we immediately laughed, and we were like, okay, I think we're like, now that we know this, we're like the exact right frame of mind to appreciate exactly what this movie is going to be, which is perfect, because I think that, unlike the first two movies, I think that there were some attempts at intentional comedy in here, and I think like, especially in terms of like satirizing like Gen Z speak, and I think like maybe like one or two examples of it actually did hit home just a little bit. Like, again, there's nothing, no, there's no brilliance here or anything like that, but the whole thing about like Danica and her, like her like the Claire cognizant empath, or whatever the hell that she was like relying on for like her life coach, like those little bits of dialogues were cute. I thought those were funny. And generally speaking, because I could get the sense that there was going to be just as much ridiculous comedy in it as scares, how it was intentional or not. I think I'd been primed by the opening just to like
not take it seriously. And because I didn't take it seriously, I ended up enjoying it more. The unfortunate thing about it is that I think that, first of all, this movie, like we've already discussed a bunch of times, it doesn't, like, it's not as resonant as Scream. The surviving characters from the original are not nearly as interesting as the ones from Scream, and I think they overestimated our excitement to see them back, despite the fact that Freddie and Jennifer both look great. So it's always like it's a pleasure to see these people from our childhood like come back and look and like looking like really happy and healthy. So that's fantastic. Um, and I will say, I actually do think that Freddie's line about like going to the Bahamas is a terrible idea. Probably got the biggest laugh in the theater, and we certainly enjoy. Like I remember enjoying that very much. Um, I do think that there were a lot of interesting ideas that were thrown around in there, but got completely underdeveloped. Um, the Pastor Judas subplot went nowhere. They should have cut it entirely. Um, but I do think, well, first of all, this I likened this to the first, but the economic aspect, this is where that actually came into play because it turns out that was like the motivation behind the killings was one of the motivations was the resentment of these land developers moving in on this like economically parched town whose housing prices had plummeted because of the original murder spree and them seeing an opportunity to turn it into like a new resort coast town and like the people who got left behind. That was I thought that was really interesting, but it was so underdeveloped that it needed more airtime. There needed to be more like character and like plot strengthening and fewer like murders, especially since there weren't that many chase scenes. If they weren't going to like amp up the chase scenes, they really needed to like just like fewer characters and fewer kills so they can make a more interesting story. That's number one. Number two, I blame radio silence for the fact that I didn't buy Teddy's death at all. I I know it may be wrong of me. I get that. But if Chad got stabbed like 20 times and still came out okay, when Teddy died, I was just like, no, I don't believe this. Like, here's another like big, like muscly biracial guy. Like Chad survived it. Like Teddy will too. Even when he got strung up in the town square, I was just like, he's just sleeping. They're gonna cart him out on a stretcher at the end. Like it's fine. So it was just ridiculous and there was so much that there were like so many missed opportunities. They certainly well, listen. I'm glad that Julie still knows how to solve murder mysteries with a quick Google search. That is very inspiring to me. But so the law degree did not go to waste. But I again spoiler. Since Ray ended up being the killer, I had no problem with that. I did buy the resentment and the rage that had curdled up in him over the years. It didn't get enough air, and also it didn't get enough airtime. It was just kind of like it was one of those things that I was like, okay, I'll go along with this, but it's not fleshed out enough. It's not done enough, which is weird because it has the longest runtime of any of the movies, and there's like it's the longest movie in the franchise, and yet there's like so it made me wonder looking back on it, like what was this all devoted to, like this runtime? I don't know. And then finally, I think the biggest disappointment, since they were going there, was not making clearer the fallout in the relationship between Ray and Julie. Like they got married and now they're divorced, and I thought that was a really interesting. I thought that was an interesting plot advancement, but they never really like discuss. There was never really like a satisfactory discussion of why that happened, and people were sharing in various chat rooms about like plot to like like certain plot points that were dropped. And I remember reading one about how apparently Ray and Julie were originally written. They had a miscarriage and how he wasn't really there for her or supportive of her when that was happening, and she ended up relying on Carla, and that's why she and Carla were still in contact, and she and Ray got a divorce, and that should have been put in place of like three other characters or three kills that like nobody even gave a shit about. Like that should have been there. But despite all of that, the movie was still so silly in a lot of places that I thought that its silliness was kind of like mildly pleasant. And so as a result of that, once characters who should have been killed just started popping up left and right again for no reason. Plus the whole ridiculousness of the girly ending. Oh, I heard Stevie's still alive. Should we go kill her? Yeah, let's do that. Cheers. Like I,
Oh, shit.
it was it was so silly that I was like, you know what? This is so whether it's campy, whether the camp is intentional or not. I'm just gonna like abandon my critical thinking here because at the beginning it had already prompted me to not take it seriously. So 2 out of 5 for me.
I had a day-long crash out over this movie. I had no expectation from this movie. I kind of knew. I was expecting Scream 5, which was perfectly okay, which I do think Screams are better in movies than this, but I was like, how do you mess it up? Like, it's a man with a hook killing people. You don't have to think that hard, right? You don't. Like, we just need to hear Jennifer Love Hewitt scream, maybe have a couple of dream sequences, have some chase scenes, because I will say I know what you did last summer, and I still know have really great chase scenes. It's what made me love chase scenes, that and Scream 2. And, Sydney running for the last third of Scream, so I was like, if they even have just one good one, it's fine. I knew when that ugly font from the TV show that I never watched came on the screen, I was like, oh no. Like I set myself up for this, right? My friends bailed on me. It was 8 o'clock at night. I really wanted to go before people started talking about it. Which literally that night it was on TikTok, like the surprise with Sarah Michelle Gellar. So I was like, I'm glad I went. Um, but I knew I was like, oh, we're gonna see the ocean. I like this. This is I don't need the movie to retread the first one. I don't need that. Like we've been in Woodsboro so many times. If I never heard the word Woodsboro again in the Scream movies, I'd be perfectly fine. But we hadn't went back to Southport yet, right? And Southport had a lot of atmosphere, and I know it was gentrified, but I really have a hard time believing and I'm gonna probably jump around, but I was very angry at this movie for some reason. But I don't. If they're angry that it was gentrified, I think that the town would have done more to protect. Like those old buildings were really beautiful. Like I know it was a different location, and there was just nothing from the first one there. No matter what, it was nothing. I didn't have. There was not a fish hat unless I missed it because I checked out. There was no Croaker Queen pageant. Why couldn't we? Why couldn't Danica be the Croaker Queen this year, or have her be? I don't know, retire. I don't know. Have something. I don't care about her wedding shower. I don't care. But to jump around, I did feel for the characters at the beginning. I really loved Teddy and Milo flirting with each other for fake because I know that's what modern straight men do, and it's kind of endearing sometimes. Because they're close enough with each other to be that comfortable. Ava was fine when she was trying on her dresses. I was kind of okay, we're gonna get okay, it's not gonna be dark, and we're gonna. And then the accident happened, and I was like, well, this isn't. It still makes them shitty, but I don't feel the risk involved, right? I don't feel, and there's too many of them. I don't like that we kind of saw them all together. I don't feel like I liked in the original how you saw them in their own moments, when they're established. Sam Marshall is on stage. Jennifer Love Hewitt and all of them are all up there, but they're having their own points. It's all, and you just see them interact. Everything kind of flows. When Sarah Michelle Gellar walks up, this is one thing in the original. You get the animosity with her sister real quick. That her and Jennifer Love Hewitt are really good friends. There's this guy that likes Jennifer Love Hewitt. Ray doesn't like him, and neither does Barry. And they almost, but it's not. It's not like someone's telling me. I'm watching it unwind. I never got that from this movie. I never got anything was unfolding for me. I felt like it was just a bunch of stuff happening, and I just okay, well that ended too soon. This started too soon. It's not scary. I don't really, and some of it I've forgotten. Um, but I just didn't get any nostalgic feel from it, which would have been okay, because I don't really think the second one's that nostalgic from the first one. I think it goes, but this was trying so hard to be nostalgic. And I was watching the San Marcello chase scene, and I did notice that all the mannequins have the plastic, like when they tried to do, was it Taylor, or whatever, the podcaster that gets killed in the new one? It is the same kind of background, but you said it in your podcast, Zach. There's no suspense. She's not trying to survive. The most, I thought it was really cool with this when the cages came down, but we didn't play with anything. We didn't. have time to sit with it and play. And there was, I don't know, like I felt very disappointed, and I would have glimpses of maybe something of a little something, and then it would just go to something else, and then we almost had a chase scene with Danica in the graveyard, but I don't know if they cut something out in the storage sheds in the graveyard, and I was like, why are we doing this? And then we were just teasing with a little bit of this, then it goes to something else, and at one point I was just like, I'm ready for this to be over. I don't give a shit who the killer is, and then it kind of got interesting, and then they were fighting in the daylight on that modern. Everything was sleek too. I couldn't stand that in the house that like opened automatically and stuff. I was like, I don't really. This is not. This doesn't give me any atmosphere. This is just. I don't want to see modern. I want to see stuff that has like character to it. And the boat was really nice. It was during the day. It was kind of cramped. Like I didn't have a sense of urgency. It was just kind of there. The bar was cramped, and it was just you could see everything. I didn't really give a shit that Ray was the killer, even though after rewatching the first one, the fact that he wouldn't say that he was Billy Blue, and they could just say, "Hey, I wanted to investigate this a while ago. I'm Billy Blue." That's a dead end. It makes it. I do see when you say that, like, you could see him and how unhinged he was in the second one be the killer, but I think that the unveil of it was bad. I don't. We didn't really need Stevie if it was, or we should have just had Stevie. We could have focused more on Jennifer Love Hewitt and had more callbacks, that, and then pushed the story forward. It was just so it was, and I get it. Like fans should not make movies about what they love, right? Because you don't know how to edit, you don't know how to control yourself, you don't know. It should be somebody on the outside looking in to like edit it down and stuff. It was just so disappointing. The fact that you had Sarah Michelle Gellar and I didn't really like that scene, even though I love seeing Sarah Michelle Gellar. It's almost like you gave someone some, because they got the whole cast back, right? You even got Carla. Like I know it was just for a little bit, and you have like you could have brought back. I know this is a tiny thing that I like. Like they could have brought back that little Julie theme, like that has like where she's walking in college. You could have had that when she was walking in the college campus, and just give me a little bit of that. But you wouldn't. So you had all this at your fingertips, right? You had a budget, you had the cast, you had these, and I really like how they advertised it. It gave me nostalgia where the cast was all together on these like in TikToks and all that stuff, and they were all with the killer in the background. It really is reminiscent of the '90s and kind of what they did with Scream Six, which I liked the how they advertised for that. It just puts you in the moment. Like this is going to be an event, and I like when horror movies are an event. And it was anything but an event. It was like a waste of resources and time, and like, and again, like, I do think it does suffer too. It had to be extra crisp because they ruined the momentum because they made that third sequel too late, and the TV show was nothing to do with. So you don't have any momentum from the past like Scream does, or a lot of these iconic imagery. So you really needed to do something with care, and the fact that the director and the studio just kind of like shit on it, like they were just like here. And whenever you can see the potential in the movie, I think it's just very disappointing to the point where it just becomes a disappointment. It's not good, it's not bad, and that's a really big sin in my point. Like I can't even. It's not even so bad it's good. Like I just don't have a good time. I didn't have a good time, and I really wanted to have a good time. So maybe I will the next time I see it because I won't be so heartbroken by it. But the first two are just such a good time, even though they're simple and stuff. Like I can take music from it. I love the nostalgia of Jennifer Love Hewitt and Sarah Michelle Gellar and Brandy. Like that, it's like my childhood, and I love horror movies. It's like you gave me these big presents in one, and the assignment wasn't that hard to kind of do it again, and you failed like on purpose. So I don't know. That's my view.
Okay. I don't know if they failed on purpose, but
I mean, they
I don't know if
watched the
they.
movie before they put it out, so they did, right?
I don't know if they failed on purpose, but like the. I didn't like the director's sentiments of like posting the Rotten Tomato score and saying camp. Because it's like, well, no, like camp is not an excuse for something, and like you also can't justify critical analysis by saying something is camp. So I felt that it just that was kind of an irresponsible way of treating fan reaction, and you said that this is why fans of of these franchises should not make these movies, and I agree because like fan bases are always divided. Not everybody has the same perception of a franchise uh, as one collective group. So the things that we like about this franchise or even like the Scream franchise, we don't necessarily share with somebody else. So our personal tastes and styles wouldn't necessarily translate the right way for other people if we put it in there. And I think that that was just the case here. I think that also it was just like not the best instincts. I think that the homage, the callbacks were were very surface level. Like I said, they could have, they should have, in the script writing process, looked at like what actually matters versus like what are we doing just for the sake of having something like draw attention to a thing that happened in the past. And that's inherently the problem here is like, instead of focusing on oh, this happened in 1997, like let's focus on like, well, does that work now? Does that work in 2025? How can we tell a better story rather than how can we tell the story that just copies and pastes the same thing from before, but in a different way, but like not the same, but like less good. It's just like which is kind of was my issue with the remake era of the 2000s, where it's like we got to be different, so we're going to change things, but it's just going to turn out to be a lesser version of it. So why bother? Just make something new, and make it and use your best instincts. Do something that is actually telling a good story and is going to be scary and tense and have atmosphere, rather than like trying to be modern in a way. That it was a weird decision to bouge up Southport. And like you said, Sam, it's just like it was a decision that was made, but then there was absolutely zero thought put behind it to establish it as a plot point. It meant nothing. It could have just been scrapped, and it probably cost a lot of money to make that decision, which ended up not meaning anything. So, I think that's why this movie probably had such a cagey post-production, because of these decisions that were made.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Shall we do our rankings?
Sure.
Oh no, Garrison, you were about to say something.
No, I was done. Like I mean, the only thing I would say is just it's really sad to watch wasted opportunity. Like it's just, and I get it why people get. I've never experienced it before where someone rebooted something, because I'm always like, well, I had fun with that, even though it's not what I wanted. I had fun with that, but this is like one of the first instances. Like that's why I think I probably hold this series not better than Scream, but I liked it a lot more than I thought. It was. Because I was so disappointed. And I was like, oh, I see what people feel like when they watch Scream 6, because I wasn't disappointed, but I was very much disappointed with this, and it was very upsetting. So,
Yeah. Zach, I'll send you screenshots. Um, so, all right. So my ranking is 1, 4, 2, 3.
you have them at the fourth one second?
Yeah, I do, sweetie. Sorry.
Let me just get out of here. No. Um, I guess I'll go since I talked. I like this. It's 2, 1, 4, and 3. And we're just saying fuck the TV show, right? So,
Yeah, oh, God, yeah. There was a TV show? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Garrison.
Yeah.
T1, 4, 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
but I do want a sequel. Like, the end credit scene gave me kind of hope, even though it was kind of hokey. I was like, well, if you can make an unhinged sequel with this small cast, because I would say I did not hate the Danica. Well, since I was embracing the crazy. I kind of liked the end scene before the end credit. Like I didn't mind Danica and Ava talking. Like I was like, okay, well, where was this friendship in the beginning of the movie? Where was this? Like 'cause I could have gotten down with this, but it's too late, I guess. Like but then it was over, and then we got the button or whatever, and I enjoyed it. And I was like, well, maybe to make enough money where we'll have like a true wild ass sequel where they actually give Jennifer Love Hewitt and Brandy something to do,
They have to go fight Zombie Stevie
or just zombie Ben Willis, like
Zombie
shit, like
Ray.
like all three, right? Just
or Zombie Ray. Zombie Ray.
um, I mean, I don't really want the same director or writer to do it, but um, I would be down. Like if you wanted to make this into a franchise and have the hook guy, and you did some major work, maybe I don't see it happening, but I don't know. I just have a nostalgic for like the small town horror. If you would have gone back to that, um, with a limited cast, good chase scenes, like finale where they're running all over the place, like the boat on the first one. I think it's still impressive, even though she went from I have to do something, we have to solve it, I have to do something now to running around acting helpless. It still was a good time.
I agree. Uh, yeah.
Well, I will have to say the fourth one was not informed nostalgia. They did nostalgia all wrong.
Nostalgia is overrated. Um,
If it's done wrong.
it
What a
is.
line. Yeah.
I know I am. Yeah, I kind of am. Um, just quoting. But anyway, I think this is a good place to leave off. I think this is a
Yeah.
natural place to end. I think that we covered this everything we needed to. So, um, thank you all so much for stopping by. Thank you for watching. Um, and we'll see you on the next
Oh
episode, which
wait.
should be coming out soon.
Yeah, Zach, where do you want them to find you?
Oh, you can find my main YouTube channel, Zack Cherry, Zack space Cherry, Cherry Picker podcast, also on YouTube or streaming wherever podcasts are streamable. Uh, Instagram, Retro Bitch Face.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Letterboxd. Yeah.
And Letterboxd, and not to mention that Zach's very first feature film just had its world premiere in New York City. It's a 15-minute horror short called Macabre that he co-wrote and directed, and it was very, very well received to much applause that night. So, congratulations to you.
Produced by.
Oh yeah, I Garrison and I associate
Yeah.
produced it, and our names are in the credits, and we have IMDb credits to our names now, and we have that bucket list challenge, the bucket list items checked off.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you
Also,
I'm
very
so
much.
happy.
Yeah.
isn't the trailer on YouTube? Do you have the trailer on YouTube?
Yeah, you can find. I mean, the trailer's on IMDb. It's on
Yeah.
like my Instagram, YouTube. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah, check it out. I mean, I know only like a few people watch this, but it may be people who don't know about Zach. So if you don't know about Zach and what he does, check it out because it's a great time.
Well, thank you, appreciate it, and thank you for having me again.
Yes, thank you so much for coming. It was a fun time. All right, bye everybody. Or I guess